In this module, I'm going to talk a little bit more than showing you how things work because we're going to be talking about podcast structure. Now, if you have a piece of paper next to you, get it out because I want you to take some notes. Okay? So all podcast, no matter what it is, who made it, how it was made, or whatever, it follows three structures, right? And the fourth one being a mix of the other three. So it follows three structures. So go ahead, listen to your favorite podcast, and I promise you it's going to fall under one of these. So the first one is interview structure. Now, this is by far the most popular structure of podcasting that there is out there. So it's you, and let's say you bring on someone to interview. This could be, let's say if you're in the health and fitness world, you bring on someone, like a really famous nutrition person to come on and talk about dieting and this and that, right? So you interview them, you ask them questions, you ask them for their help, their support, all that type of stuff. They're pretty much providing the information and the content for your podcast. You're pretty much just asking questions, right? So, and carrying on the conversation. But this is by far the most popular one. And so there's two reasons this is popular. One, you kind of never run out of content, right? Because it's not up to you to come up with content. It's up to you just pretty much find someone that's knowledgeable over a topic. Then once you find that person, you just go ahead and come up with list of questions. You can even ask your followers for what you would like to, know from this person. And then you pretty much go on there and you interview them, and they pretty much provide all the knowledge and information and all that type of stuff. Now, number two, this is one of the easiest podcasts to promote. Now, we'll talk about promoting podcasts in a later module in this course, but when you have an interviewer, you can just let them know, hey, this podcast comes out next week. I'm going to go ahead and send you a link. Could you share it with your followers? Now, if the person you're interviewing is, really big and has a good following, this really helps, grow your podcast much, much quicker. And you'll get new listeners pretty much every single episode. So that's why this is one of the most popular structures. Now, the next one is educational podcast. So what educational podcast is, it's pretty much where you or someone else, two people, you guys come on and you pretty much talk about, you pretty much educate your listeners. So to give you an example, there's a podcast out there called How To. And in that podcast, they just pretty much talk about how to do anything. So how to, make your bed, how to stop coughing, how to stop sneezing, how to ask a girl out. All of these things, you might be talking on experience, you might have scientific background. It doesn't really matter as long as you're teaching your listeners something new and you're helping them some way in their life. So, educational, it's in its name, pretty simple. It is popular. There's a lot of podcasts out there that are designed to teach and help you grow. Like I said, one of the most popular podcasts out there is self-help ones. So these would fall under this structure. Now, the next structure is entertainment. Now, entertainment goes anywhere from, murder mystery podcast to sport podcast to, movies podcast, anything like that. So anything that, is talking about the entertainment world, it kind of falls under this category. Now, the cool thing about this one, just like the interview, you really don't run out of things to talk about, right? In the entertainment industry, there's always something to talk about. So, if you're a gossip podcast, you can talk about, gossip that's happening around, Hollywood. And if you're in the fashion one, you can talk about new fashion trends or what you saw that you didn't like or this and that. And if you're about sports, there's always sports on TV. So you know that you have endless content to talk about. Now, the most popular, after interview would be a mixture of all of these. So if you have a favorite podcast, I'm pretty sure it's a mix of interview, educational, and entertainment. And any podcast I've done in the past, I've kind of mixed all of these. So I've never had an interviewer on there 24/7 on every single episode, but I've had a few episodes where a person came on and I interviewed them. Each of my podcasts always taught people something, whether it was an interesting fact, or it was about self help, or it was about life, or it was about sales. It taught them something. And I always had stories from my past, where I failed, where I succeeded, what I did, which kind of made it entertaining. So, you guys need to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to make it interview? Do you want to make it educational? Or do you want to make it entertainment? Or do you want to mix it all? Now, you might be asking me, hey, is it really that important that I pick one of these right now? It's not. It's not that important. But it is important to have a good structure where you can flow through, your podcasts, where all your podcasts sound the same, because you want to have consistency and you want to have consistency through your brand. So if all your podcasts are different and they don't match and they're all over the place, then people are going to be like, okay, I like these types, but I don't like this type. I might like these episodes and I don't like these episodes. So having a structure is very important. And I'll give you an example of, a structure that you might want to come up with. So let's say the first thing you do is an intro, okay? So you say, hey, welcome to my podcast, back at it again with 123podcasts.com. Now, after you do that, maybe you want to do something like, okay, we're going to say the joke of the day, okay? So now you give them a joke, people laugh, you laugh, everything happens. After that, you teach them something. So you teach something, right? You just say, hey, so 2 plus 2 equals 4. No, it equals 5. In some countries it equals 5, some countries it equals 4. Whatever it may be, you teach them something. After that, you do an interview. If I can spell it right. You do an interview with someone. So someone that has knowledge. Since we were talking about 2 plus 2, you bring in a math teacher. And you ask them questions. Hey, how does this work, that work, all that stuff. After that, you thank the interview person. And then you shout them out. So what this means is pretty much you say, oh, thank you, Bob, for coming. So if you guys liked Bob today, then make sure you check out Bob on his Instagram, @BobTheBuilder, or something like that. Then after that, you do a call to action. So this is where you say, hey, if you guys found this podcast interesting, make sure you check out the previous podcast and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, this is where you want to call to action to them. And at the end, you just want to close it out, saying, thank you for listening. I'll see you guys on the next episode. So this is something you're going to have to play around with, and this is something that can change, okay? So as over time, if you see, hey, this joke of the day is not working out, I'm going to delete this. Okay, we didn't have an interviewer today, so, we don't need to do an interview or a shout out, so going to change that. So you can go and kind of mix it together, okay? So you can do this, but you just have to kind of play around with it. And like I said, it can change, but shouldn't change, on every other episode, right? It should be consistent for at least, 10, 15, 20 episodes before you decide to change it, and only change it if it's not working. So this gives you a pretty good idea on what structure is, what are the most popular structures, and pretty much how you should structure it out. Remember, guys, I'm going to say it again. It's important to have a podcast structure before you start recording.
You've been watching Podmio. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like and also subscribe by hitting that red button below this video so we can bring more videos like this to you every single day. Thank you.